For me, the problem, it's not that the questions aren't relevant. It's not at all that the questions aren't relevant. It's that I don't think it's really appropriate to ask it of a medical charity. No one would ever say if I was sitting here from American Cancer Society or from the Alzheimer's Association, no one would ever say, if you cure Alzheimer's or you cure cancer, won't there be a lot of healthy old people running around, and won't that be terrible, and won't there be a lot of overpopulation? No one would ever say that. No one would ever say that curing cancer in itself would be a bad thing. Yes, people will probably live longer if you start to cure age-related diseases. And yes, there will be social impacts of that. But the idea that the answer to that is simply not addressing it just seems entirely wrong to me. You know, I said before, Adam, that one of the things I was interested in was, things I've worked on in my career have been, could we develop formulations of vaccines so you wouldn't need refrigeration and paved roads to get vaccines that contain live biologics to people out in the developing world? Well, if we were successful in doing that and you could deliver vaccines to every kid in the world, there'd be a lot more kids in the world. Please don't tell me, what are we going to do with all those kids? Yes, we will. Yes, it will be an issue. You'll have to deal with it. But no one would ever dream of saying that that wouldn't be an appropriate thing. So to say that you shouldn't have effective medicine because people will be healthier and happier just doesn't feel right to me. There's something wrong with the equation. Well, there have been some articles published by some scientists saying that, you know, I don't remember the fellow's name, but there was an article published a few years ago where a scientist in America said, you know, at a certain age, I will stop drastic treatments to diseases because I think that, you know, there's a normal course of life and the like. And, you know, I understand that argument, but I mean, as far as I don't know that people are saying there should be a moratorium on any kind of research. I think what you hear is a lot of speculation about the ethical consequences of the research in a way that you wouldn't append to other kinds of medical research. You would not hang an ethical question onto curing cancer or curing Alzheimer's. And all we're talking about, it really at its core, at SENS Research Foundation, is a more efficient and more effective way of treating age-related disease. And as a matter of fact, if you want an example of an unethical medical system, I think and again, I'm going to jump to a conclusion, and let's assume that SENS Research Foundation kinds of projects could be successful and could undo age-related disease. So just take that assumption for a while. We won't even treat it as scientifically proven or not proven, certainly as a valid field of inquiry. So take that as an assumption for a bit. If that's possible, then to say that what we should do instead is continue to treat people with sick care and extend the frail years of their life seems much less ethical to me. You know, I've been asked on stage at different presentations and different conferences, do you think that people will be living longer in the future? And my answer is always, people will be living longer in the future. We're extending lifespan all the time. We're just doing it in a really unfortunate way right now. There's a path of your life, a bell curve of vitality, and you know, you go through your young years and then you quickly get up to this level where you're doing well and you're vital and you're healthy, and then here's you in your 20s and 30s. If you're a guy, you're probably slacking off a little earlier. If you're a woman, you're probably lasting a little longer, but eventually you're gonna start coming back down, and then there's a line that you can call the frailty line, over which it's starting to become rather unpleasant, and it's starting to become harder, and it's starting to become more expensive to be alive. And then you're in hospice, or you're in some kind of sick care, or you're in an increasingly difficult medical management. And what we're doing right now is we're extending out those years, and we're dragging that out instead of trying to extend out the years that you're healthy. And I think most people, if they were given the choice, would prefer to have the years of healthiness expanded, and if there was going to be a termination, have that just occur in a more natural way. At least for me, give me more of this and then have that drop off be relatively quick. I don't want to spend a lot of time down there. But instead, what we do is we learn to manage dementia and heart disease and every other condition, and we drag that out and drag that out and drag that out. And that's where I say the social and economic consequences, that's where they match up. The social and economic consequences are the same. It's hugely expensive to treat those patients. They are hugely unhappy, and their families are hugely unhappy. And oftentimes their families are being hit with those financial burdens as well.